Why you feel like a prisoner to your own couch even when your goals are calling, the surprising neurochemistry of the dopamine deficit, and how to reclaim your drive in just 10 minutes. Welcome to Catsychology channel. In today's video, you're not lazy, your dopamine is just broken. Here's the fix. We are diving deep into the engine of your motivation. Have you ever wondered why you can spend 4 hours scrolling through mindless short-form videos, but cannot find the energy to spend 15 minutes on a project that actually matters to your future? You tell yourself you're just lazy, or perhaps you lack willpower. But the truth is far more clinical and, thankfully, far more fixable. You are likely stuck in a high-stimulation trap, where your brain's reward system has been hijacked by instant gratification. To understand this, we must look at dopamine not as a pleasure molecule, but as a molecule of anticipation and pursuit. As Dr. Anna Lembke explains in her groundbreaking book, Dopamine Nation, our brains are constantly seeking a balance between pleasure and pain. When we overstimulate the pleasure side of the scale with constant digital hits, our brain compensates by tipping the scale toward pain, leading to a state of chronic boredom and lack of drive. Think of it like a cat chasing a laser pointer. If that cat never gets to catch anything physical, its brain eventually tires of the light. It becomes lethargic, not because it is a lazy cat, but because the reward signal has been decoupled from a meaningful result. You are that cat chasing digital lasers that offer no real substance, leaving your neurochemistry exhausted and broken. Let's look at a real-life scenario. Imagine Sarah, a talented graphic designer who dreams of launching her own studio. Every evening, she sits down at her computer with the best intentions. However, before she opens her design software, she checks one notification. That one click leads to an hour of social media. By the time she snaps out of it, she feels a profound sense of mental fatigue. She isn't physically tired, she has done nothing but sit, yet her brain has processed so many rapid-fire rewards that the baseline dopamine required to start a difficult, creative task feels impossible to reach. She labels herself a failure, but the reality is her motivation thermostat is simply set too high because of the constant heat of digital stimulation. To fix this, we need to implement what psychologists call a dopamine fast or a reset. This isn't about living like a monk forever. It's about lowering your stimulation ceiling so that normal, productive tasks feel rewarding again. The actionable insight here is the 10-minute entry rule. Instead of looking at your massive goal, commit to just 10 minutes of a low-stimulation environment. No phone, no music, no distractions before starting your work. This creates a boredom gap that forces your brain to seek engagement in the task at hand. By intentionally allowing yourself to be bored for a few minutes, you reset the scale, making the work itself the primary source of reward. Why your brain craves the easy path, even when you want the hard one. The neurological science of the effort-reward mismatch, and how to rewire your dopamine pathways for lasting success. As we continue our journey into the architecture of your motivation, we have to talk about the pain-pleasure balance. You might think that to fix a broken dopamine system, you just need to stop doing the bad things, but the brain is more complex than a simple on-off switch. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a renowned neuroscientist, often discusses the dopamine baseline. When we indulge in what he calls cheap dopamine, scrolling, sugary snacks, or instant digital rewards, we aren't just getting a temporary high, we are actually lowering our baseline. This means that for the next several hours, or even days, things that used to be mildly interesting now feel excruciatingly boring. It is like trying to hear a whisper in a room where a jet engine is running. Your brain has turned down its sensitivity to dopamine just to survive the noise. In his influential book, The Molecule of More, Dr. Daniel Z. Lieberman explains that dopamine is the chemical of the future. It is about more, not now. When we satisfy it with now rewards, we kill the drive for more. To understand this, let's look at our cat mascot. Imagine a cat that is fed high-calorie, processed treats every time it meows. Eventually, that cat will stop hunting. It will stop playing. It will stop even grooming itself properly. Not because it is a lazy cat by nature,
but because the biological necessity to exert effort has been bypassed by a shortcut. The cat's internal compass for effort and reward is completely shattered. You are experiencing the same phenomenon when you choose a 10-second video over a 10-page chapter of a book. Your brain has learned that effort is no longer required for a chemical hit. Let's consider the case of Mark, a university student who used to be a high achiever, but now finds himself unable to focus for more than 5 minutes. Mark isn't broken or lazy, he has simply habituated his brain to a high-frequency, low-effort reward cycle. Every time he hits a difficult sentence in his textbook, his hand instinctively reaches for his phone. This is a micro-escape. Over months, this habit has built a neural highway that redirects any sign of mental friction toward a digital distraction. Mark feels like he is fighting a losing battle against his own will, but he is actually fighting a physiological adaptation. To fix this, Mark doesn't need more willpower, he needs to rebuild his effort tolerance by intentionally engaging in difficult dopamine activities, things that require a high upfront cost of effort before any reward is felt, such as a cold shower, a difficult workout, or deep work sessions. The actionable reframe here is the friction flip. Instead of trying to force yourself to be productive, your goal should be to make the cheap dopamine harder to access than the productive work. This is environmental design. If you have to walk to another room to get your phone, but your book is already open on your desk, you have lowered the activation energy for the good habit and raised it for the bad one. By doing this, you are slowly teaching your brain that the path of least resistance is actually the path toward your goals. Over time, your dopamine baseline will begin to rise. You will find that the boring tasks start to feel engaging again, not because the tasks changed, but because your brain regained its ability to value the process over the instant result. If you found this deep dive into your neurochemistry helpful, make sure to subscribe to the Catsychology channel for more insights into the human mind through the feline lens. Like this video if you're ready to fix your dopamine, and leave a comment below sharing one cheap dopamine habit you are going to swap for difficult dopamine this week. Your brain is a powerful tool, but only if you know how to manage the fuel. Remember, you aren't lazy, you're just out of balance. Let's get that scale back to where it belongs. See you in the next video.